One day without warning, your life will change. Not with noise, not with drama, but with a quiet realization that the time you thought you had is already gone. This is the story of a man who believed he had more time. The message came on a Tuesday morning. No urgency, no warning. Just a simple text. Hey, call me when you can. It was from his son. Michael looked at the phone, then at the clock on his desk. 8:47 a.m. He had a meeting in 13 minutes. He placed the phone face down. I'll call him later, he said quietly, and then he forgot. Michael was a busy man. Not the kind of busy that looks chaotic, but the kind that looks respectable, structured, organized, important. He had built his life carefully. A stable career, a comfortable home, a predictable routine. From the outside, everything made sense. Inside, something had been missing for years, but he didn't have time to think about that, because thinking requires space, and his life had none. Years earlier, Michael had made a decision. A small one, almost invisible. He chose work over presence, just for a while, just until things stabilized, just until he got ahead, just until life became easier. Then he would slow down. Then he would spend more time with his family. Then he would be the father he imagined himself to be later. His son Daniel used to wait for him. When Daniel was 6, he would sit near the window in the evenings, watching cars pass, listening for the sound of the door, waiting for his father to come home. Sometimes Michael came early. Most of the time, he didn't. Tomorrow, Michael would say, I promise. And Daniel believed him, because children always believe promises until they don't. At 10, Daniel stopped waiting by the window. At 12, he stopped asking to spend time together. At 15, he stopped talking. Not completely. Just enough to be polite. Just enough to avoid questions. Michael noticed it. Of course he did. But he told himself something comforting. It's just a phase. Teenagers are like that. They grow distant. They become independent. It's normal. Everything is normal until it isn't. Years passed quietly. No arguments. No big fights. No dramatic moments. Just distance. Slow, consistent, invisible, like a crack in glass that spreads over time. Michael continued working, providing, succeeding, becoming the man he thought he needed to be. Meanwhile, his son became someone he no longer understood. One evening, Michael came home earlier than usual, for no particular reason. He opened the door. The house was silent. Daniel was sitting on the couch, scrolling through his phone. Michael stood there for a moment, then said, Hey, want to grab dinner together? Daniel didn't look up. I already ate. Michael nodded. Maybe tomorrow. A pause. Then, maybe. Tomorrow never came. Years moved faster after that. Daniel left for university. The house became quieter. Michael told himself this was natural. This is what happens. Children grow up. They leave. That's life. He believed that, because the alternative was harder to accept. That Tuesday morning, the message was still sitting unread in his mind. Hey, call me when you can. At 6:32 p.m., Michael finally remembered. He picked up his phone, opened the message, stared at it for a few seconds, then pressed call. The line rang longer than expected. Once, twice, 3 times. Then a voice answered. But it wasn't Daniel. Hello, is this Michael? The voice was unfamiliar, calm, too calm. Michael felt something tighten in his chest. Yes, who is this? A pause. Then, there's been an accident. Time did something strange in that moment. It didn't speed up. It didn't slow down. It just stopped making sense. Words were spoken. Details were given. Location, condition, urgency. Michael heard everything, but understood nothing. The drive to the hospital felt unreal, like moving through someone else's life. Every red light felt personal. Every second felt heavy, not because time was slow, but because suddenly it mattered. When he arrived, the hallway was quiet. Too quiet. A nurse approached him, asked his name, then led him down a corridor that felt longer than it should have been. Each step felt like a question he didn't want answered. Daniel was alive, but unconscious. Machines surrounded him. Monitors, beeping sounds, cold light. Michael stood beside the bed, looking at his son, and for the first time in years, he really saw him, not as a responsibility, not as part of his life, but as a person he barely knew. He tried to remember the last real conversation they had. Not a quick exchange, not a routine question, a real conversation. He couldn't. He sat down slowly, took his son's hand. It felt unfamiliar, like holding something that should have been known, but wasn't. And then it came. Not all at once, but in waves. Memories, small moments, missed opportunities, promises, tomorrow, later, soon. All the words that once felt harmless now felt heavy. Michael leaned forward, his voice barely above a whisper. "I'm here." But even as he said it, he knew the truth. He hadn't been. Not when it mattered. Hours passed, then more. Doctors came and went. Updates were given. Uncertainty remained. Michael didn't move, didn't eat, didn't check his phone. For the first time in decades, nothing else mattered. At some point in the night, Daniel opened his eyes. Just slightly. Just enough. Michael felt it immediately. He leaned closer. "Hey, I'm here." Daniel looked at him. Not with anger, not with warmth, just distance. A quiet distance that had been building for years. There were words Michael wanted to say, thousands of them, but they all felt too late, too small, too insufficient. So he said the only thing that was true: "I thought I had more time." I see Daniel didn't respond. His eyes closed again. Morning came slowly. Light entered the room. Soft, indifferent. Michael sat there, still silent. And for the first time in his life, he understood something most people avoid thinking about. First, time doesn't warn you. It doesn't announce its limits. It doesn't tell you when moments become memories, Baichi. You don't notice the last time you play with your child. The last real conversation. The last chance to be present in, because in the moment, it feels like there will always be more. More time, more chances, more later. But later is not guaranteed. It never was. Michael looked at his son and realized something that no success, no money, no career could ever fix. You can rebuild a business, you can recover money, you can start again, but lost time does not return. And the most dangerous belief a person can have is this: I'll do it later, because one day, later becomes too late. The tragedy was not that he lost his son that day, but that he lost him slowly, and only noticed when there was no time left.